Welcome to a special episode of The Influence Effect by SheSpeaks. We are 181 episodes into our podcast. And when we started this podcast journey back in 2020, we had no idea that we would still be producing the podcast today and where it would take us. We wanted to do something to celebrate and to thank you, our audience members, for your support as we approach the amazing milestone of almost 200 episodes. So for those of you who don't know, the podcast started back in 2020 during the pandemic. We were seeing that our community members, our SheSpeaks community members, were struggling as we were with being locked down during the pandemic. So in late 2020, we decided to try to find a way to give our community some inspiration and ourselves, quite frankly, some inspiration. And we thought, well, how do we get inspired? And we get inspired by hearing really great stories from women who we respect. So we started the podcast really with that in mind, by telling stories of inspiring and strong women who had accomplished amazing things. Our mission has been and really always will be to amplify women's voices. And we are doing that to this day with the podcast. Along the way, we've shifted the focus to talk more about what we do with SheSpeaks day to day, which is our influencer community and our creators who work with us to create amazing content online. And we have really been in this industry for as long as we have, which is now over 15 years. We have seen the rise of social media. The pandemic was a big inspiration for that. The number of people who ended up getting more involved in watching social media and downloading social media apps just skyrocketed during the pandemic. And we have seen a lot of social media apps come and go. And we have seen the creator economy, which is all of these people who you see on social media who are creating content, who are creating posts and videos on social media. And we've seen it grow into something that has really now been estimated to be close to a $500 billion industry, projected to be a $500 billion by 2027. So we've been part of some amazing conversations around topics about social media and content creation and influencers. And so in today's episode, what we want to do is highlight some of our recent episodes and give back to you, our audience. So if you click the link in the show notes or visit SheSpeaks.com, you will find some more information and a way to enter to win AirPod Pros. What better for listening to a podcast? All you need to do is leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We want you to tell us what you think of the show. So in this episode, we've pulled together 3 different highlights from some of our recent favorite conversations. You'll find the links to the full episode in the show notes. The first guest is Paige Pritchard. She's tackling the idea of spending on social media. She has really asked the question, is social media causing you to overspend? Paige Pritchard is a money and overspending coach. She's helped us explore the connection between scrolling through your feed and overspending on really some unnecessary purchases. In this clip, Paige shares how the perfect storm of the pandemic, social media, and technology has changed how we shop and spend money, and what we can look out for to keep ourselves from overspending and engaging in compulsive shopping. So let's take a listen.
I always kind of talk about, like, in my mind, there's been this like perfect storm that's been created with our spending habits. And there's 3 different parts of that. And the pandemic is one of those 3 parts. The other part is like part 2 is social media. And then part 3 is just changes in technology, think like Amazon, and just how much our shopping habits have changed with the advancement of technology. But the pandemic is one of those. And I say between those 3 things that really kind of created a perfect storm. And I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, I think what a lot of people don't understand about shopping and spending habits and things like that is it becomes an ingrained habit. And for some people, it can even like progress into like a compulsive behavior, just how like drinking alcohol or eating sugar or, you know, just like doom scrolling on social media. And so to your point, I feel like a lot of people used shopping as their emotional crutch during COVID. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of, you know, like, well, what's going to happen? And a lot of, you know, overwhelm and anxiousness. And a lot of people chose to deal with that with shopping because we get just as big of a dopamine hit from shopping as we do from pretty much anything else, from eating sugar, from drinking alcohol. The responses in our brain is the exact same. And I don't think that a lot of people think about shopping like that. Like, oh, this is actually something that can become like a compulsive thing that I feel like I have to do. Like I just call it kind of being in a spendy mood. Like you're just like, I don't even know what I want to buy. I just want to buy something. I'm feeling spendy. The pandemic was a really, really big part of that I think got a lot of people to that point that then once the pandemic ended, they were just in that habit. Now I pick up my phone, I get on TikTok, or Instagram, I go and look at all my favorite influencers that I follow. I see what they're recommending. I go to their Amazon storefront or their Like to Know It, and I see what they got. It's just become this habit that a lot of us have gotten ourselves into that we don't even like realize has become an ingrained habit, but it absolutely is. And to your point, the pandemic was kind of like the kickoff for a lot of people for that. So now it's like you couple in TikTok shop with that. It's crazy.
Our next guest, Danielle Bayard Jackson, helped us understand why women judge each other on social media, which is something we hear about all the time. We have heard from countless content creators and influencers that often some of their worst critics are actually women. Danielle is an expert in female relationships and friendships, the host of a podcast, and a friendship guru. In this clip, Danielle helps us explore why women clash on social media rather than supporting each other and what you can do to help change the narrative.
Female friendship is always going to be complicated because we're bringing all of our stuff to the table. Even if we want to think we want to compartmentalize, we're bringing it all to the table. And so I think with women, it's complicated because if I see another woman, it's like she mirrors me and she's a model for how I can be in this world. And there's just so much there. There's so much projection there. How she looks makes me think about myself. There's so much going on there because it feels like such personal business, a conversation with another woman, a relationship with another woman. And if we see a woman doing things as a mother online, but I wouldn't make that choice as a mom, or wait, is my choice as a mom wrong? So I'm coming down on her extra hard. Or if I believe in dressing modestly and she's showing some skin, that stirs something in me because I'm playing by the rules. We're supposed to dress modestly. She's breaking the rules. And so I think there's so much stuff that is personal that drives some of that hatred and that heat because it's coming from a very personal place.
You just made me think about something that I have not considered on this topic. And first of all, I'm grateful. So thank you for that. But what you were saying made me think that based on what I know about women, we do a ton of research on women. As women, we like to build consensus. We like to find commonalities between ourselves. And that's a way that we build consensus. And it's interesting when you said that we almost look at one another as a reflection of what another woman does is a reflection on me, because I am always in the back of my mind, maybe trying to find the similarity. And maybe that's why there's so much of a reaction when another woman does something that we think, what, like they shouldn't do that, because we actually see them as almost like a part of us.
100%, like an extension of ourselves. And I know this sounds cheesy, but it is the truth. The more comfortable I've gotten in my own skin with how I look, with some of my weaknesses, growth areas, the more comfortable and accepting I've become, the better my relationships with other women are. There's less judgment. There's less criticism. I'm less offended. by things that struck a fence. And it's a cheesy go-to answer about like work on yourself, but it has really made the way I view other women have more grace, understanding, compassion, because you are me and I accept myself. And so you're so right. Like that, wanting that similarity. We value egalitarianism. Everybody's equal and the same. So if she's falling out of line, I can't relate to her, or she's not playing by the rules of womanhood. So I agree with you. I see that as well. There's a lot of stuff under that.
Yeah. And it's almost like too, that because of how we kind of function still in this patriarchy, it's just to a great degree that we are almost like being taught from a young age to stay in line.
Yeah.
So when we see someone else stepping out of line, we have a reaction to that.
Totally.
Or to what
Absolutely.
we deem as stepping out of line.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know people often use the phrase internalized misogyny, but I would encourage any woman who finds themselves, I would give women this homework. The next time you're scrolling through and you see a woman do something or say something in your content and you find yourself in your body having a very visceral reaction to that, I want you to question why that is, what rule you feel like she's breaking, and where you downloaded the message. That's the rule. I know recently on TikTok, a video went crazy viral because a 29-year-old woman was talking about how much freedom she has in her life, not having children and not being married. And she did not come down on women who have chosen to be mothers. She just said, man, let me tell you what life is like as a child-free woman. I can wake up at 10 and I can explore my hobbies on a whim. And I'm thinking, get it, girl. I've got 2 kids under 5. But I saw the joy and I was like, yes, girl, love, appreciate this moment. Do your thing. Do you know there were so many women in those comments saying, wow, how selfish you are, how insulting. You don't know real love until you have kids. It was insane. And it was coming from women. And so it did make me wonder, what did that strike in you? Is she not following the rules by not prioritizing being partnered and having babies? Is there space for a woman to choose that life and a woman to say, I don't choose that life and I love the life I've chosen?
Finally, our last episode features Kristen Sellentin, a successful content creator and influencer. In a now viral post, Kristen revealed her $500,000 earnings from 2023 and how she earned that as a social media influencer. We discussed her desire to inspire women through her transparency and the power of community. So here is Kristen's clip.
The number one reason I decided to post how much I made last year was to show women specifically that you do not have to be stuck in one career or one part of your life. You can do anything. That's the number one thing I try to tell people. You can do anything. I did not have this job. I had a whole other career. Then I was raising my babies and I put my mind to something and I did it. And I am successful. And I want people to see that not just that they have, it's a pathway to becoming an influencer, or here's how to make this money being a content creator. It's really a bigger picture than that, which is you can be at the lowest point in your life and pick up and say, I'm going to do this, and put your mind to something and do it and be successful.
Yeah. I love that. I am a big believer in being the master of your own destiny. And there are so many women who decide to take an off ramp, let's say, to their careers and to raise their families. And then, because of the way the traditional work works, it can be a huge sidetrack, right? For women getting back up into the working world. And here you created your own business, because being a creator and influencer, if you are monetizing it, you're an entrepreneur. You have created your own business, and quite successfully so. So what has the reaction been? What have people been saying to you?
My DMs have not stopped blowing up since that reel was posted. Every day people want to know, how did I do it? How can I better my business? I'm getting DMs and emails from creators themselves with big followings asking me, what are you doing? Looking for advice. But the overall message has been positive. I mean, on that reel alone, there's over, I don't know, over 1,000 comments or so of just positivity. I don't think there might be one negative comment. And so it was taken in a really positive light, which thank goodness. My message was received loud and clear that this was not, me tooting my own horn. This was bigger than that. And people are really genuinely happy for me, but happy to see a woman being successful and being transparent, because there's so little transparency in this industry, being a newer industry too. Just make that account and start posting the things that you love, and the people will come.
Thank you for listening. If you're an influencer or a brand that wants to work with us, please feel free to email us at info@shespeaks.com. Until next time.